All right, what's going on? How y'all doing out there on a Sunday afternoon here in May in the ATL or on the outskirts of ATL, however you want to put it? It's your Uncle Steve here, bringing you to another live broadcast, whether it be on Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube. Make sure you go and subscribe if you haven't already. Just trying to put a lot more stuff out there than we normally do. And then also in the Atlanta Bird Gang on Facebook Live. So, how's everyone doing this Sunday? Pretty quiet. I can't say a quiet sports day because we got the PGA tournament going on with golf. A little bit of baseball going on. The Braves still can't get it together. I guess we'll figure it out. Today, the Western Conference Finals in basketball shift to Dallas. So as Dallas tries to get on the board, as the Warriors are up 2-0. And more importantly, talk about our Atlanta Falcons. And one of the reasons why I did want to come on today is a disturbing amount of talk that I keep hearing folks speak about, which when they're talking about the Atlanta Falcons tanking in 2022. Tanking a football team. Tanking. And I'll get back to that in a second, but I appreciate you all joining me. It's Dondre, what's going on, man? How you doing, sir? Good to see you on Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube. And I see you, Sister Toya. How are you on Facebook Live in Atlanta Bird Gang? Thank you for joining us, and thank you for coming in on the conversation. So, a lot of talk has been made about the Atlanta Falcons and in 2022. Obviously, the big news this offseason before the draft was about Matt Ryan, obviously leaving or being traded to the Indianapolis Colts, which of course does push a reset button when you start talking about a football team, when you're talking about someone who's been in place for quite a long time. The last 2 years with our horrible financial situation, in other words, for the most part, paying contracts for folks who aren't here, we have been forced to kind of pick up bargains. You know how sometimes you're at the grocery store when y'all at Publix or Kroger, or sometimes you're at Walmart. Walmart might be a better example, and I'm just using them as an example. When we talk about those bargain bins, like you go in there and you see like 300 pair of socks and they might be 3 for $5 or something like that, or you haven't had it. It's an old DVD that you haven't seen in a long time, and it's a bargain thing. That's basically what the Falcons have been forced to do for the last 2 years, because they're kind of cleaning up a lot of the old contracts. Now, they are signing real life human beings who play football, albeit maybe not as talented as you would like, but they are signing folks who are pretty much, born to be football players. I don't think I'm going out on a limb to say none of those folks are coming to play for a team that doesn't plan on winning. I love the fact last week that Coach Arthur Smith got an opportunity to talk about the ridiculous concept of tanking. I don't know from who came out with the thought that we're just going to have this season so we can just fail and all of a sudden go to 2023 and there'll be this plethora of quarterbacks that'll be there for us, and we're going to get Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, or one of the next best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, when none of those guys haven't even junior season in football yet in college. But yet we're willing to say, well, now don't worry about Ritter anyway. He won't be anything. Don't worry about Mariota if he is halfway successful, don't worry about it because we're going to start over anyway. We're going to try to lose all the games we can. So I'm here to ask real Atlanta Falcon fans. I'm here to put that on you. What is there any scenario where tanking, especially in the NFL, is there anyone that thinks tanking is a positive form of rebuilding your franchise? And I'm not trying to say that in other sports it may work out better. For example, the NBA, it may be easier to try that concept there because you're talking about less human beings, of course. You're talking about rosters of 15 to 17 people. And quite honestly, you can get one great talent and all of a sudden everyone around them looks greater. Do you think actually all of the Dallas Mavericks are all all-stars? Do you actually think Spencer Dinwiddie all of a sudden is an elite player? Do you think Jalen Brunson all of a sudden is the next Chris Paul? I know that's a bad thing because people are talking out Chris Paul these days. But do you think that all of a sudden now every player on Dallas is just a vital part of the team? No, because the superstar came on there and changed the franchise. You can do that with a team sport that has less than have 5 to 6 people on it. You can do that easy. On a football team, I don't care how talented or less talented you are. When you get together on the football field, you can't go half speed. You can't go with the intention of, well, we're not going to try to win this game. Man, you'll get hurt. And as a fan, I don't understand the mentality of wanting to lose. I don't understand that. Of wanting to lose. Yet I see that quite a bit, alarmingly, in some of the comments that I see around in a lot of groups. It's really strange. Chris McIver, how you doing? Chris says, I am with you. Tanking is laughable. And John Harris, what's up, JR? JR says tanking. Clay, Dondre says tanking can start stuff. Look what happened to Brian Flores in Miami. Yeah, that's a little bit of a different situation that happened to Brian. And quite honestly, yeah, a little bit of different dynamic stuff. Some internal stuff that was kind of weird. I don't want to exactly compare that, but I do hear what you're saying. Clayton, what's going on? Say, what's up, Steve? Can't wait to see what this team is all about. When do you think we're going to release Ridley? I think we haven't because he took the fall for everybody. I'm pretty sure he was the only one. Even if he wasn't, and what's going on, Clayton? Even if he wasn't, I think pretty much the book is pretty much in hold and on a pause as far as Calvin Ridley is concerned. No one's going to take him. No one in their right mind is going to take a suspended player right now. You don't know what that man's mindset is coming back next year. There's no advantage / disadvantage of trading him now as opposed to next year. So soon as this season is over with, the very last shot of the gun for 22 season, Calvin Ridley is back on the roster at 11 or $14 million, whatever it is. He's right back on the books, and I am pretty sure that Terry Fontenot will already have suitors lined up, and people will be lined up to get Calvin Ridley. There's no rush for him to get traded right now, to be honest with you. I would wait to see what happens. I can pretty much assure you he's not going to be on the Falcons team. That's for sure. Ryan, what's going on? So Uncle Steve, what's happening? Watching the Minneapolis airport while watching my flight, brother. I saw the pictures up there. You said you were going up there with your moms. Hope you had a good chance to see Paisley Park and all that stuff. And Ryan also says to hell with tanking. That's my thought on that too. I just don't. Losing mentalities to me, I think to even nurture a losing mentality in life about anything, not let alone sports, that you would attempt to lose. Well, it's up in spades, maybe when you're trying to make somebody get over books in spades. Aside of playing spades, that's the only reason that you would attempt to lose. Dondre says, does the coach signing Nick Foles, does that make Matt Ryan worried about his starting job? Not at all. Matt Ryan is fine. You need a backup, man. He needs a backup there. That's going to be him. Brother Jeremy, how you doing, sir? Gotta admit, there was a second before the draft I wanted everyone on the team purged and for us to suck for the top 2023 pick. But then we, I hope, had a good draft and had a good few signings. Tanking is unrealistic, and no quality veteran wants to go to a bad team. And listen, the human part of what Jeremy is saying is, and Jeremy, correct me if I'm not saying which, we were in such a place by the end of last year, and then knowing that you were probably trying to get rid of Matt Ryan and we were trying to make the move for Deshaun, that blew up in our face. So there's part of it where you say, you know what, blow the whole team up. I think everyone has had that mental state every now and then as far as your sports team is concerned. But then when you go back and look and you see the things, as he said, that Terry did during this draft, a couple of the moves we made in free agencies, no, not big splashes, Tyreek Hill type contracts or nothing like that, but little pieces that you sit there and say, well, you know what? I'm not trying to win the I'm not sure if this is going to win me the Super Bowl, but I do feel like that will at least help get to the next level until we can get even more pieces to add next year when our salary cap, quite frankly, opens up. Jeremy also says, if you want to sign good free agents without giving them all the money, you better give them hope that your team is going to be successful. Look at the Lions, Jags, and Jets. No one wants to go there. And you start talking about those teams right there. Those are teams, no matter what. The Jaguars last year, when they got Trevor Lawrence and Eddie, Trevor Etienne, you can't really say because he got injured. So, but when you start looking at those franchises that keep spinning their wheels in the mud, you talk about the Lions, you talk about the Jags, you talk about the Jets. Those teams, like Jeremy say, are just staying in place, totally like that. Just car that just can't get out of gear. Okay, get in gear, I should say. And that's what we don't want to become. Corey, what's going on? Corey says, Steve, tanking does not work in the NFL. Draft picks are all a crapshoot. And that's the one thing you start talking about draft picks, man. Look, as great on paper as some of these drafts, I keep hearing everybody say the Jets won the draft. Okay. Jets won the draft. And who knows, 2-3 years down the line, you don't know. What team was it? And I was looking at it. What was the team? Oh, the Raiders. The Raiders had the 3 number 1 picks the Josh Jacobs year. They did not tender the 5th-year option to either of the 3 players. So just because you make some moves to get up and get players up in the draft doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work out. Now, I hope it works out for the Falcons, but there's no guarantee for any of this. What we need to put faith in is whatever Arthur is building on the field and whatever scheme he has that he's trying to work with on offense and whatever Dean Pease is doing on defense, that the players they draft fit exactly what they want to do. Because this is all for nothing if you get great players and they don't fit in your system. It almost like it defeats the purpose. Devontae, what's going on? Says, all this tanking needs to stop. We had a 7-9 with a bad team, and I think this team is better than last year. I believe we might have a winning season, something like 9-7. I'm hoping. And that's the thing. I think you have to let this thing play out before we just completely, just, oh, there's no way we're going to win, more than 5 games this year. I saw somebody say we're going to win 3 games this year. And then Prep finishes that with, yeah, we're going to win 3 games, and then we'll be able to get Bryant Young. I'm not Brian Young. What's my boy name? From Alabama, whatever his name is. And I'm saying to myself, even if you do, there's still no guarantee. Everybody was in the tour sweepstakes about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Everybody. He threw one lucky pass to Devontae Smith in the national championship game against Georgia, part 1. And he jumped to the top of the list. And now Miami can't even give him away. So, I just say hold tight before we start just putting our eggs in just thinking that tanking is just going to be the way. It's kind of a ridiculous notion. Anthony, what's going on? Say, what's up, bro? Steve, tanking is idiotic and a loser's mentality. It blows my mind when fans give in to that crap. And you said losing mentality. And that's why I say in sports and in life, I'm just trying to say there have to be losers in a game. And in life, there are winners at times and there are losers at times. I can't think of anybody that I know of that is either successful or has a brilliant mind that thinks any type of losing, especially on purpose, serves a. I just don't agree with that. There's nothing. There's anybody that can sit here and tell me the advantage of having a mentality of we're gonna lose in order to get to a position of unknown. These folks this year, they just did the NBA lottery, and Orlando Magic got the #1 pick. Is there a drop dead, can't miss guy coming out of this year's draft that you know of? I don't think so. I think there's some good talent. But there's no one that I would just say, "Oh my God, we did it. We tanked for this person right here." And in football, it's the same way. Y'all can throw up Shroud and Henderson and all these folks that we're talking about at quarterback that's coming out this year. There is no guarantee that any of them would do better than Ritter once you actually put the uniform on and get on the NFL field. There's nothing to show that that's an automatic. So, I don't know. John says the desperation is real. The fans are so starved for a winning team, quick that they are willing to sell their soul for a cinnamon roll. And that's the thing. I think we're this generation coming that's kind of right in the middle of maybe a 10 plus years ahead of me. Not ahead of me, behind me or whatever. We're used to the Madden, EA Sports type of stuff that you can do, on the team where you're able to switch players up and have fantasy drafts and all we need is this person right here and because they ran for 2,000 yards here, they'll do this when they get to this team, and it doesn't work like that. See, Cordero Patterson, who was always an okay player on special teams for Minnesota and Chicago and things like that, came to Atlanta and all of a sudden double-digit touchdowns. And people are saying, dude, why wasn't he doing that with Chicago? Why wasn't he doing that with Minnesota? Because it wasn't the same scheme. Arthur Smith saw his talent and knew what he could do with him. And therefore turned him into a very valuable player. So I just want to pump the brakes on just all of a sudden thinking that. Now, don't get me wrong. Are some guys coming out next year that are going to be beasts? I'd love if Will Anderson were available to come out from Alabama. I think he's going to be a stud when he gets out. But there's still no guarantee on that. Nothing. So those are the questions I asked when I started talking about. Thank you. Eddie Carswell, what's up, Eddie? Said, what Alabama or Ohio State quarterback has been worth tanking for? That fact too, even though, yeah, sometimes I know the Alabama quarterback doesn't do anything. I get that part too. I'm not even looking at it from that aspect. I just look at it from, I don't care if you played for quarterback U, which would be what? Maybe what, USC quarterbacks? I'm trying to think what school really does have quality quarterbacks that come out. But your point is made. Yeah, Alabama traditionally doesn't have a lot of great quarterbacks come out of there, because I think about Mick Elroy. I think about what was the guy with the girlfriend that Brett Musburger was gawking over during the broadcast. I'm losing my mind. But anyway, all those folks there, I mean, John Harris says, when was the last time New England won the draft? How many Super Bowls do they have? I forgot. Yeah. And New England makes their living on draft picks under the first round. Devontae said, we as fans got to learn how to trust the process. And Devontae, what I do a lot of times, and I make sure I make the disclaimer, there are a lot of great folks that I talk to when we're doing these things, live streaming. There are coaches. There are guys that are former players. There are guys that have more football IQ in their one finger than I've had all my lifetime and stuff. And I love the interaction with those guys. I don't pretend to be anything other than a fan, a big-time fan. And being a big-time fan of the Atlanta Falcons, my sole goal in life is for us to win football games and beat the New Orleans Saints. I don't care really what else happens. Win football games, beat the New Orleans Saints. Don't care about the 12 package. Don't care about whether we run in a 3-4-4-3. Don't care about the PFF rating, Pro Football Focus ratings on stuff like that. I really don't even care about all that. I know there are people that do, and I'm not putting that down. But you know what I care about? I care about being able to watch the end of the game and seeing the Falcons come out and it's a W. Too many times in the last 4 to 5 years, we haven't had that. That's where my fandom comes in. That's where I start looking at, wow, what can we do better to get this team to win? That's me. Ryan says, the difference between Young and Shroud and Ritter is that Young and Shroud are stacked rosters that flourished. Ritter made Cincinnati, along with Luke Fickell, a formidable team, and they were good the last 4 years. And even more importantly, Ritter was good last year. I don't want to. What you can show from your freshman year to your senior year is, of course, growth. And I was looking at some of the stats, and I had them pulled up a few minutes ago on Ritter and some of his improvement and some of the things that were that we were looking at that he has done. I'm pulling up his stats right now, y'all. Be patient with me. About how his completion percentage stayed right there in the mid 60s. And, you know, that's what you're looking for when you start talking about quarterbacks. Accuracy, his touchdown to interception ratio is pretty good. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for from a fan standpoint. Ryan also says, I'm good with Ritter. He has an opportunity to make guys better. He has a different mindset and responsibility already and doesn't have the mindset. I also like the fact that look, I know a lot of people weren't happy about the I'm not leaving till we win a Super Bowl, blah blah. And I'm one of the main people that talk about too much talk and actually doing it before you start doing too much talking. But in his particular case, he's going against a veteran. And yeah, Mariota definitely has seen his better days. Some would argue they were back in Oregon, but he's going against an NFL vet. You have to come out swinging. Your confidence has to be on a over the top level, because if you think for 1 minute Mariota is going to sit back and let some third round pick beat him for the starting job, you got something coming. And remember, Mariota's money next year isn't guaranteed. Next year's contract, the $12 million, the other part, that's not guaranteed for Mariota. So it behooves him to come out swinging in this competition. And guess who benefits when you have both quarterbacks trying their best and doing their best? It benefits the Falcons. It benefits us. Both guys trying their best. One trying to redeem his career, one trying to start his on the right foot. I think it's great. We haven't seen it in this city. Matter of fact, shoot. Because really, even in 2008, when you start talking about Matt coming in, I mean, he's going against Chris Redman. And, you know, you kind of knew how that was going. Chris Redman, yeah, not really what you would call a top-notch competition. And when you think about it, I'm trying to think, when was the last real Falcon quarterback controversy? One would argue and go back to Jeff George and Bobby Hebert, the year that Jeff George kind of got us there near the beginning, and Bobby Hebert had to win a couple of games to get us into the playoffs near the end of the season. I want to say that was 95. Was that 95? When that was? I think that's when it was. So it's just something different to see in the city of Atlanta, too. I like it. I like the competition. I like the young man's confidence. I do. Ryan says Brett Musburger was drooling over Mateo out of Notre Dame. Yeah, I was talking about the one. I was talking about the quarterback. Was that the guy we had here? The one who won the national championship, had the girlfriend out there, and Brett Musburger was gawking over the mom and the daughter. Y'all gonna remember? Y'all gonna tell me? John Harris said, "No, Steve. Now you know as well as everybody else were rightly questioning the wisdom and not playing the offensive starters last year. We know enough to be able to question craziness." Yeah. Well, I'm still suffering from Tank talking a whole bunch of mess and fizzling. Yeah, look. Unless you can tell me, unless somebody can sit here and tell me a real benefit from a football team tanking, you tell me. I don't know. Maybe I'm lost. Maybe I'm the person that's not as smart in this situation. Tell me what exactly is the benefit of that. Ryan says John Parker Wilson. No, that's not who I'm talking about. No. I am talking about, what was the boy with us last year? What was the quarterback name? What was the quarterback's name? That we just had that got hurt. Y'all help me out. What was the quarterback? It was. Hold on. And I hate this because, yes, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to figure it out because that burns me. when I say something and then I can't follow it up. It was uh shoot, 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 shoot. It's quarterback's name, y'all. AJ McCarron. That's him. Dang, Tidy. Thank you, bro. AJ McCarron. Y'all don't remember the national championship game when Brett Musburger was out there and the lady that, I mean, his wife looked good. She's supposed to be some kind of cheerleader or something like that. And no, a queen or something. I don't forgot what it was, but Brett Musburger was like, "Oh yeah, there's some hotties out there." It was something weird, but pretty much Brett was pretty much off of ABC after that, right? And it wasn't a thing that they were kind of mad at, but it did kind of have creepy old man vibes when if you go back and watch, just somebody YouTube it, I'm pretty sure, and you'll be able to go back and see that. But that was too funny, and I don't know why. I was like, yeah, that's the guy who was here. So yeah, that's why I was bringing him up. But yeah, tanking, man, I'm just not a fan of a losing mentality. Listen, do we have the best running back core going right now? Damian Williams. I guess Cordero Patterson is still going to play a heavy part. We just drafted the young man out of BYU. We re-signed Ollison. So is there any, is there a feeling that we're going to improve our ground game? I don't think so. I think we'll be more, maybe we'll be more consistent. We have a little bit more talent in that area. So maybe that's what it is. Wide receivers. It's kind of hard to say we improve wide receivers. We could say we actually have wide receivers. We got to the point last year, Russell Gage was basically him and a couple of send-offs, Tajay Sharp. You really didn't have a wide receiver core. Now we have a lot of basketball players we have out here that we either drafted or picked up off free agency. And I like that too, because you better have Drake London better be starting at one of your wide receiver positions. And then you have some competition, Alden Tate and what's the guy we just got from the Raiders, Edwards, and just a couple of people now that Geronimo Allison we just got. So now we can truly have some folks with some experience that quite honestly are going to be hungry because, hey, let's keep it real. If you had to resort to signing with the Atlanta Falcons, it's not like people were knocking at your door. It's not like Geronimo Allison was sitting there getting, offers from Tampa Bay or Kansas City or anybody like that. So these folks here in Atlanta right now are all on prove-it deals. Kind of like last year. Cordero was the only one that kind of came through. But all these guys are on prove-it deals. Other than that, you're talking about pretty much the draft class of 2021 and the draft class of 2022. And now Arthur Smith is super close. This is why everyone keeps talking about 2023. Even though, listen, I'm going to accept winning from any way we can get it. But you have the draft class from last year with Kyle Pitts being the shiny toy. The draft class in 2022 with some of the defensive people we've picked up as well. And you want to coach the mess out of these folks. What do we have in Richie Grant? What do we have in Jalen Hawkins? What do we have in the kid we got from Montana State? What do we have with some of the cornerbacks we brought in to help AJ? With Hayward, what do we have back there? So going into 2023, you can make some smarter monetary decisions. It may be a couple of keepers out of these one-year contract groups. It might be one or two Cordero Pattersons that you may consider holding on to instead of going out to try to make that big splash on one player that you signed 5 years, $120 million, and then 2 years in, they're being like our buddy Mr. Jones and get out of the contract. So these are formative years right now for Arthur Smith. And I was thinking that somebody else was suggesting, oh no, if Arthur Smith doesn't win, if he doesn't have a winning season this year, he's gonna be fired. Fired for what? Matter of fact, he needs to get Coach of the Year for sticking around. I mean, the horrible contracts that you picked up as a coach and Terry Fontenot pitched up as a general manager. We're going to go back and look at this in about 3 years and finally pat those guys on the back for being able to get rid of Matt Ryan in that contract. Trust me, we're not going to do it now, but I guarantee you we'll end up doing it later. John says, now since we're discussing this, aren't the Dolphins in the stew about tanking? It may not be just the fans wanting to tank in the NFL. And those are things, listen, Brian Flores and Hugh, it's the cat that keep losing in Cleveland. Those guys, I'm not in a NFL locker room, definitely not in the NFL coaching locker room. When you make a vile accusation like that, you better have a lot of evidence. You better have your ducks in a row, because you're going against a $1 billion corporation. They ain't coming up there with Judge Judy. They coming up there with some real folks that's truly going to chip away at your character. Brian Flores, I hope he lands on his feet and does whatever he does. Is it Hugh Jackson? Is that his name? From Cleveland? I mean, you better hope that this stuff is true, because you levying some heavy artillery at the NFL. And I'm not even trying to say the NFL is like, they're right about everything they do. But I am saying that you better have your story straight, because you know they're going to come guns a-blazing trying to prove themselves correct. Now, a couple of these owners, the Miami owner, do I feel like he's kind of full of it? Yeah. Yeah, he kind of seems like he's a little bit of a jerk. But, you know, you gotta let that play out. But just be careful. Be careful. You cannot mess around and just throw accusations up like that and think, oh, they'll just believe me. That's not how it works. It really isn't. So again, tanking in the NFL, I don't know. I'm sticking around to try to see if that has any kind of anything that makes sense with that, or if there's anybody that's going to come on here and tell me that there are benefits for an NFL team to tank. I was trying to look up real quick the Atlanta Falcons salary situation, because I was looking at something earlier. People are still talking about trading Debo. Now, of course, we're coming up to the June 1st date where we can do some different thing. Here we go, right here. I'm going to share this screen and share this. Deion Jones right now for the Atlanta Falcons, if you look at it, And the reason why Grady's contract is what it is, of course, they kind of extended it, and now they can take that bonus money and kind of stretch it out a little bit. Real time money, Grady's already gotten paid, but the salary cap, we can stretch it out. So you look at these salaries for the Falcons. Dion is the only person that's really making significant money when you think about it. Look at these contracts. Dude, Isaiah Oliver is making $2 million this year. He's making more money base than a lot of these cats. That's pretty good. We still have to sign Desmond Ridder, which again, as a third round quarterback, I don't think he's going to make that much money. And Marcus Mariota, again, don't be fooled by the $20 million, because with everything he gets this year, the most he can make this year is $8 million. And then his big money comes in next year when you start talking about that. So it's, Dion, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. I like Deion Jones. I know a lot of people really don't. And I'm not here to try to, blow smoke up you and tell you that Deion had a great year last year. But, I would almost give Deion a bye. And let's see what he does this year. It would be nice to have a couple of vets on their defense. Grady Jarrett, great idea. The guy we got from the Kowalski at linebacker. I'd give Deion one more year. The $9 million price, yeah, that's something interesting. But as far as trade's concerned, I mean, right now, unless you're talking about person for person, at this juncture in the game, what are you going to get for Deion on the open market? You're not going to get more than a 4th round pick. Not for Deion Jones. Not this year. Maybe 2 years ago, you would have probably got a 2nd rounder or a 3rd rounder. After the last 2 years, right now you're basically just trying to get rid of that salary right now. And you still got some money that you owe after that. Is it worth keeping him? Is it worth keeping him on the team this year? I don't know. If you ask me, I would hold on to him maybe one more year just to see if something comes back. You couldn't afford to play Oluokun. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody was going to pay Oluokun except Jacksonville. Jacksonville had to overpay everybody. They overpaid Christian Kirk too. Christian Kirk is not a $15 million a year wide receiver. Because if he was, Arizona would have done much better after D-Hop went out. He was not worth the money. So Deion Jones, that's going to be a very interesting to see what happens in the next week or two as far as that's concerned. As far as the quarterback position is concerned, and yes, the quarterback position, which is the most important position in NFL, arguably the most important position in North American sports. Desmond Ridder versus Marcus Mariota. I've seen anything enough to make any type of who's this, who's that. Obviously, Mariota has a heads up for experience. We know he's going to get hurt. We know he's going to get shaken up at some time during the year. So that wouldn't shock me. Ridder, if he gets hurt early, Ridder goes in, does well, keeps the job. But it would be nice to see some RPOs in here. Nice to see somebody moving the pocket around here. And that's not hate to number 2. That's just saying it would be nice to see some different type of philosophy run back here in the Atlanta Falcons offense. I think it's going to be a big year for a couple of folks. I think it's going to be a huge year for Kyle Pitts. Finally, he can get the double and triple teams off of him and be able to actually run real routes down the middle of the field. Maybe some seam routes that he sees Kittle and Kelsey just feasted on. Maybe it'll be his time to get some of that. And it just kind of depends on how things are going to play out. I do know that the next month or two, they have a couple of, we've been seeing a couple of things in the Falcons thing coming out. They have an open practice, and I want to say that's June. Oh, what is that? June 3rd. June 3rd, I believe that is. Thinking about going there, seeing what I can see for some of these guys. It'll be interesting to see what transpires, which you can see out of t-shirts and shorts. I mean, it's not like they can do a whole lot of pad work until training camp. But it'll be just nice to see the guys running around. I think they say they're supposed to have a session where they're all going to talk to the fans and stuff like that. So hopefully I'm able to get in there and get some info for you guys and try to see what they have coming out in that. Hopefully that will be the next exciting thing coming down the line. But I just had to come on today. I figured I wouldn't be long, but it's probably longer than I thought I was going to be. But yeah, just dude, tanking. I just don't think. I do not think that's a real thing in football, especially with this year's 2022 Atlanta Falcons. If you have different thoughts, please put them down in the comments. I'll definitely be back in tomorrow for a short period of time. We'll talk a little bit more about Atlanta Falcons. Until then, man, y'all take care and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And we'll catch you in the Atlanta Bird Gang and on Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube tomorrow. Y'all take care. Have a great Sunday evening. Peace.